Hey there, Gutman Human Service interns and agency supervisors. My name is Reverend Nancy Dominique DeSablis, and I want to welcome you to this brief training video on how to properly and accurately complete human services timesheets. What I recommend is that you have in front of you a hard copy of a human services timesheet so that as we are going through this, you can have the copy in front of you to refer to. Also, please have a copy of the timesheet due date schedule. Okie doke, let's start. So, timesheets are an important ongoing aspect of the Human Services internship. Timesheets are a way for interns to document time spent on their internships. Without timesheets, faculty and staff have no way of knowing if the intern has completed their required internship hours. Now, interns must complete 10 hours of internship each week. They must earn 125 hours of internship for fall one and for spring one. And interns need a total of 250 internship hours to graduate with an associate's degree in human services from Gutman Community College. The objectives are pretty cut and dry, and here they are. As a result of this training, we will review the process for how to accurately complete and submit biweekly human services timesheets. We will engage our human services supervisors in the process of reviewing, approving, and submitting intern timesheets. We're going to highlight important reminders regarding human services timesheets, and we're going to provide both interns and supervisors with helpful tips and suggestions for completing and submitting timesheets in a timely and accurate fashion. Okay, let's begin with our timesheet due date schedule, and we'll go through some important points. So, timesheets are due every 2 weeks, and there is a set schedule that we ask timesheets to be submitted by. So, each time period covers a 2 week time range, beginning on a Sunday and ending on a Saturday. Timesheets are due every 2 weeks. The schedule mirrors the Gutman Federal Work Study timesheet schedule. This is why you may notice that the first time period begins with a week before the internship starts. You may also notice that the last time period listed on the schedule ends after the last day of internships. Supervisors email approved timesheets by the Monday following the end of the time period. So I'm going to start off with the directions for the interns. So if you are a Gutman Human Services intern, what you will do is complete a timesheet for each 2 week time period that you work at your agency. Completed timesheets should be emailed to your primary supervisor for approval. A task supervisor or a secondary person who has been granted prior permission by Gutman Human Services program can also approve timesheets. Again, for the interns, when you fill out your timesheet, please make sure that you sign your timesheet prior to emailing it to your supervisor. You also want to actually save your timesheet as well. All right, now let's have directions for supervisors. Supervisors, you're going to review and sign timesheets upon receiving them from your intern. Your signature is confirmation that you have approved the timesheet. Kindly email approved timesheets to hspinternts@gutman.cuny.edu. Now, also for supervisors, please clearly mark in the email subject box the intern's first and last name and the title of the document being emailed. For example, first name, last name. In this case, it's a timesheet, so that's what you'll put, and you'll actually list the time period. In this case, the example is for the weeks of 8/28/2022 to 9/10/2022. The email that we have on file for the supervisors will serve as verification. And again, the due dates are all listed on this timesheet schedule. So now we're going to actually walk through an example of a student's timesheet and how he filled it out. We're going to give this student or intern the fictitious name of Carlos Clock Tower. So Carlos works at the Happy Days Senior Center, and his supervisor is Maria Lopez. His first timesheet is for the time period of 9/11/2022 to 9/24/2022. He works at the center every Monday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., which is a total of 5 hours. He also works there on Thursdays from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., which is another 5 hours. His total for the week is 10 hours. And since this timesheet reflects 2 weeks, his total number of hours is 20 hours, 10 for the first week and 10 for the second week. Carlos's timesheet never changes, so his timesheet will pretty much look the same for each 2 week time period. Now, the second sheet of Carlos's timesheet consists of a list of tasks for Carlos to highlight or check to just designate or note what he has done during the 2 week period. You will see that Carlos has highlighted telephone outreach, supervision, and he has added client intake. And he happens to change the font or the print type to red, and that's his way of highlighting what he has done. Some interns do essentially the same tasks weekly at their internship. So if you're one of those interns that basically you're doing the same thing and your tasks aren't changing, this page is not going to change much for you. If you are an intern who does very different things week by week, you will obviously highlight or add different things. Now, the third page of the timesheet is also very important because this is where Carlos signs and dates the timesheet. Since the timesheet is always due no later than the Saturday of the final timesheet period, Carlos makes sure he completes his timesheet, he signs it, he saves a copy for his own records, and then he emails it to his supervisor. And that's extremely important. I'm going to repeat that it's important for interns when they complete timesheets to sign them, save a copy for their own records, and then they can email their signed timesheet to their supervisors. Now, once Carlos's supervisor receives his timesheet, he will review it carefully to make sure there are no mistakes on it. And this is important because if there is a mistake on the timesheet, it could be pushed back. Now, we have another student that I'd like to tell you about, and that's Wendy Watchman. Let's meet Wendy. Wendy is also a Gutman Human Services intern. She happens to also have an internship at the Happy Days Senior Center with Maria Lopez. Her hours, however, are different. Wendy works on Mondays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and she works Thursdays from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Now, you'll notice right away that her Monday is a very long day. When she works on Mondays, she actually works a 7-hour day. This is really important because all interns who work more than 5 hours at their agencies are required to take a lunch break. Lunch breaks can be either 30 minutes or 60 minutes. Obviously, the shorter the lunch break, it means that more time can be allocated towards the internship. Time taken for lunch breaks does not count towards internship hours. Now, of course, if an intern works 5 or less hours, they absolutely can and should take some kind of break. But if the intern once again works more than 5 hours, technically by law, they have to document it on the timesheet and then take an actual 30-minute or 60-minute lunch break. So if we go back to Wendy, we see that for Monday, when she works 7 hours, she actually took a 30-minute lunch break from 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. So if we subtract 30 minutes from 7 hours, we get 6 hours and 30 minutes, or 6.5 hours, which is what she places under the hours worked column. On Thursday, she only works from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., which is only 3.5 hours. So no lunch break is given on this day. Wendy, like Carlos, works the same schedule each week, So she adds up 10 hours for her first week and 10 hours for her second week, and she too ends up with 20 hours. All right. So to make things easier for interns, timesheets will be pre-filled with dates. However, you can also access a totally blank timesheet if for some reason you prefer to add the dates yourself. This is an example of a blank timesheet. Remember, all timesheets can be found on Blackboard. I email supervisors, interns, and field associates a full complement of timesheets, which includes pre-filled timesheets, a blank timesheets, and the timesheet due date schedule. Blank timesheets can also be found in the Gutman Community College website, which is accessible to supervisors. So supervisors can actually go into the Gutman website if they want to pull up a blank timesheet. It's just go to the Human Services Program section and go to a section that says Forms, and you can find blank copies of timesheets. Okay, next I would like to just share with you that a few Gutman College Human Services students may be eligible for federal work study. Work study is considered financial aid, and not every intern may qualify for it, but there are a few Gutman interns that may in fact receive federal work study. Usually they don't get it right away. It comes usually about a month or so into the semester. And if the student is qualified, they receive a notice by Jessica Portilla, who heads the federal work study program at Gutman. When students receive work study, they must complete a slightly different timesheet. The timesheet is actually the same as the regular timesheet, but it's blue to signify that the intern is getting work study. The timesheet is filled out in the exact same way as non-work study timesheet is completed. The only difference is that when you send it to your supervisor, he or she will email it to a different email box. You'll notice on this page that when supervisors sign and approve a work study timesheet, it actually goes to this email box, which is FWS, and that stands for Federal Work Study at gutman.cuny.edu. Now, this only applies to supervisors who are supervising students that are receiving federal work study. To supervisors, do not sign where it says work study site supervisor, or the timesheet will be pushed back and there'll be a delay in the intern getting their work study payment. So for students who receive federal work study, we have to end up also signing the timesheet. And that section there that says work study site supervisor is where we sign. But again, supervisors will sign where it says fieldwork site supervisor. Okay, so it's just important. Remember that the work study timesheets are done correctly, because in this case, there is a payment that is associated with the timesheet. And if it's done inaccurately, then it will get pushed back. Okay, so we're almost at the end of this video, and I just wanted to share with you some important tips and reminders. So remember, for both interns and supervisors, it's important that time is tracked and documented. We know that there are many work sites, many internship sites where you may have the student punch a clock, or you might have your own company internal way of keeping time, and that's fine. So, in fact, there might be two timekeeping systems in place: the one that you're using at the job site for your own internal purposes, and the Gutman Human Services timesheet. Our Gutman Human Services timesheet is required, so that has to be done. You can also have the student utilize your internal time tracking system if you have one. Interns should set up a reminder system on their phones or in their calendars for when timesheets should be emailed to their supervisor. That's just a helpful tip. Every 2 weeks, you might want to set up like a little alarm or a reminder on your phone or on your computer. Supervisors should review timesheets carefully and work with the intern to correct mistakes before emailing them to Gutman. When timesheets have been reviewed and approved, supervisors, please email them to the appropriate email address. Remember that work study timesheets go to a different email address. And here are some other tips for some interns. Please try to maintain the same work schedule at your internship. That's important. You saw that Carlos had the same basic work schedule, and so did Wendy. When you're constantly changing your schedule, it's confusing, first of all, for your agency and for the continuity of the work that you're doing with clients, and it may get confusing for you. We find that it's important when students keep the same schedule week in and week out. It's going to make filling out timesheets really easy. When you are able to have the same consistent hours, it just makes it easier to track your time on timesheets. Download and save all timesheets from Blackboard. And remember, I will send supervisors, interns, and field associates a full complement of all timesheets in the beginning of the semester. So when I do that, please download that and save them somewhere on your computer system so that you always have them handy. And we recommend that supervisors do the same. And of course, save copies of all completed timesheets for your records. This applies to both supervisors and to interns. And there are some specific tips that we have for supervisors. Please delegate a secondary person to review and approve timesheets for when you are on vacation or away from the office. Set up a reminder system. We spoke about that for when you need to send timesheets to Gutman. So not only will the intern have a reminder system, but you should have some kind of tickler or reminder system too. And please play a role in coaching your intern on the skill of tracking their time, as this is an important professional development skill. We certainly expect students to be responsible and take responsibility for this, and we don't expect supervisors to micromanage this. But especially in the beginning, um, many of our students are simply not used to this. They're not used to having to track their time. And so, in the beginning, we'd appreciate it if you can make this a part of the professional development that you do with your intern and really go through and show them how to do this so that they can really get used to this important workplace skill. And there are some additional points. Work study interns cannot work on holidays and when Gutman is closed. Now, for the work study supervisors and students, Jessica Portilla will actually be doing a whole separate timesheet training, but it's really not a lot more different from what I'm presenting here. But if you are going to receive work study, you'll want to look at that training as well. But one of the things that's important is that if you are receiving work study, you cannot work on a holiday and when Gutman is closed. If your agency is open, non work study students can, however, work on holidays and when Gutman is closed because it's not really tied to work study regulations. All students can work on weekends if there are opportunities to do so. Okay, final thoughts. Just remember again, tracking hours is an important and necessary part of the internship. Once again, students must achieve 125 hours of internship for each semester in order to pass the HSVC 201 and 203 courses. These are the courses that are affiliated with the internship. And field associates are available to answer questions and assist interns and supervisors with the timesheet process. So please take advantage of your field associate. And if you're having any difficulty or if supervisors, you need some technical assistance, the field associates will be available to help you with that. And lastly, there are some time management tips that we'd like to leave you with. This is particularly useful for the intern, but also useful for all of us. And the first one is to just practice wellness and self care. When you take care of yourself and practice wellness, get your sleep, get your exercise, eat well, take care of yourself, you're just going to be more productive and it's going to have a positive effect on your overall attendance. Make a to do list, keep a digital or paper calendar so you always know what your tasks are, create goals, visualize your success, learn to manage interruptions and distractions, and less is more. Don't overload your schedule by taking too many classes or by having an extra side job or two. Now, along those lines, we certainly understand that some students have to work an extra job because economics is critical and important. But if it's more of a luxury as opposed to a necessity, you may want to focus on the internship The internship is a process that hopefully will open up bigger and better doors for you. So it's like making an investment in your future. If you do work, however, it may be useful to talk to your supervisor on your job and see how they can help you manage your time, or maybe they can give you a flex schedule or help you to cut down on your hours so that you can really focus on your internship and have more time to go to your internship without feeling, overwhelmed and overstressed. All those things are going to help you to do well on your internship and to succeed and have a positive experience. So we've come to the end of our video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it useful. This is Reverend Nancy Dominique DeSablis. Once again, just saying thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching and enjoy your internship and see you soon. Be well. Bye bye.